Good. Slowly, Doug, you're going to let your arms reach out toward the chair. Perfect. I'm going to keep the shirt up so that we can look at your back body. And now I'm going to ask, between 12 and 11, unravel. Beautiful in your low back. The muscles on the inner thigh begin to unfurl. And this unfurling, like petals of a flower, remember there's a lot of congestion in that perineal area. These muscles are very convoluted. I liken them to reeds in the sea. And you know how the reeds are twisted and folded over each other. And that's what Doug is doing. He's going from side to side, and he's undoing the congestion. Yes. Beautiful. We want the weight in the back body. So now start taking your weight, Doug, forward over your toes more, and see if you can elongate those toes. Yes. So we see that the arch of his right foot is definitely lifted a little more than it was. But because of this deep constriction in the root of the thigh and at the site of the perineum, he will be pulled back around. This is the history of this body. The unraveling can't possibly take place in the low back and the sacrum. It has to take place in the perineal circle. So he continues to open the 1 and 2. He draws from the middle of the circle and rolls open between 12 and 1 and 1 and 2. And now he's making space. Now he's opening the muscles from the midline out to the side. And I'm going to ask you now to straighten that foot so the Achilles tendon is more in line with the base of your buttocks, which is going to make him feel like he's pigeon-toed. But that is more anatomical position. And he finds from the base of the little toe on the outside underside of the foot all the way down to the heel. And he's making space. Beautiful, Doug. And we want these leg bones to come deeply into the back body. He has his 6 and 5 open, and 6 and 7, and 12 and 11. So now I'd like you to take your weight forward over the ball of the toes more. Keep the rib cage up in the back a little bit. You're doing absolutely wonderfully. Lift up a little bit in between your shoulder blades, and you see how his whole upper back expands. The way the whole upper back expands is exactly the same that's happening in the low back. Remember, I've said, and I'll repeat because it's important, his constriction is down here in this right low spine, because all of these muscles have raveled up and turned and torqued in. So now, layer by layer by layer. I love the image of the reeds in the sea, twisted, and it's as if I'm swimming right through those reeds, and in between 12 and 1 I'm opening, and in between 6 and 5 he's opening. And as his leg bones come into the back body, because he's not thrusting his pelvis forward, he now has an enormous amount of space in which to grow out. So he has his hands on that chair as a wonderful prop, as if the chair is living in the floor of his pelvis. He breathes the rib cage down. He looks his 12 o'clock way back between his legs, the perineal circle. From the middle of that circle, he lets that stream of energy go all the way back And through the top circle, if he comes up a little higher here and drops his chin, there's his beautiful standing posture. And here you see this beautiful groove right through the middle of his spine. Breathe your rib cage down. Let the weight go forward on the ball of the toes more. Elongate these toes. Trust your heels and stretch them straight down through the sticky mat, through the floor, and begin allowing that chair to stretch out. So you literally, the further you grow back, and we see in these low back muscles, how beautiful. He's not going to lock his knees and put himself in that old hyperextended pattern. He's breathing the back of the perineum forward toward the front, 6 toward 12, which the action is the bottom of the belly muscles behind his pubic bone lift up into the back wall and literally create this wonderful expansion way down here in his low back, because the spine has to come way out from the lowest spot in the vertebral column. Rib cage up, so you'll feel a little rounded up in here. You stay up in here and roll that chair away. See how far you can get this chair out of your low back. So Doug is stretching this side dramatically. Of course he's stretching this side, but you see the major difference between this side and this side. The shortening that has occurred through years and years and years, the micro tearing of the fascia. There he goes. That's it. Beautiful. Beautiful, Doug. Deepen your 12 o'clock back to create more space. Keep the belly up in the back body to elongate your sacrum off your lumbar. Deepen your 12. That is absolutely beautiful. He's very soft in these quadriceps, and usually he wears these muscles literally on the bone, and they are released. And from now he can say, how about between 2 and 3 on the clock? And can you just push that chair with your right arm out of this spot in between here and here? Can you grow that chair out? And open up 11 and 10 and stretch out of there. Now that is a very different spine. Just another moment. You'll come up in here. I know you've been here a long time. You're doing great. Drop your chin. Lift up here. That is absolutely gorgeous.